You Can't Make This Shit Up, Episode 17. Stuffing, Stuff It, Sex, and Bitch.
Hey everybody, Paul Elam here with a voice for men and an ear for men, and I am with, as always, the incorrigible Tom Golden from menaregood.com, and this is You Cannot Make This Shit Up.
Because you can't.
Once again, guys, we don't ever run out of stories. You know, when we do these, we say, okay, let's go find some stories. Takes us about 10 minutes.
It does.
To find 4 stories that are qualifiers for You Can't Make This Shit Up. And we're starting our quad of craziness today with a story out of Massachusetts. Massachusetts. Say that fast 3 times. Well, a study out of Mass, or a law that's been proposed in Massachusetts that the legislator is going to hear, is going to make, or they're trying to make, calling somebody a bitch a finable offense, a couple of $100 for calling somebody a bitch. Now, first thing we got to do is point out a little bit of fake news bullshit about this story. The Boston Globe linked below, gave this a headline and made it look in the story, the way they presented it, like this legislator, Daniel Hunt, had actually put this bill forward. But as you read into the story, you find out Massachusetts is the only state in the United States where citizens can actually directly submit bills to their legislature. And this one was submitted by that way. Some bitch put this in, and Matt Hunt entered it into the record and forgot to check the box, or Daniel Hunt, sorry, forgot to check the box saying that this was from a constituent. And across is looking like, you know, Boston Globe ran with a great headline, made it look like a state legislator was putting forth a law that would make it a finable offense. He wasn't actually doing it. It actually did come from some, I assume, some crazy ass bitch.
Paul, that's $200.
Yeah, that's $200. And I'm like, man, first thing I thought, once I figured out that this came from a constituent, Tom, is, okay, obviously that's what her boyfriend or her husband called her. Didn't call her a cunt, because you would think that they would include cunt.
You would think so.
In that.
Whore.
Or whore.
Cunt, whore, bitch.
Yes, gold bricking, piece of shit, hooker, harlot, pussy, gutter snipe. Any of these wonderful ways we have to describe a certain class of woman. But this individual apparently thought that there actually should be a law against calling somebody a bitch.
Yeah, well, it fits with today's world, Paul.
Yes, it does. And I'm going to go way out on a limb here, Tom, and guess that whoever submitted this is probably a millennial.
It'd be interesting to find out who it was.
Well, anybody that wants legislation to protect their hurt feels better not have come from my generation.
Yeah, really.
It'd be a cause of great shame.
Yes, indeed it would.
And I think the snowflake generation, which is what millennials often are, may have come up with this. I don't know. What do you think?
I think you're probably right. I mean, I would love to find out who it was, though, and find out their age. I would be curious.
We never will.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, it's not so out of the ordinary for today's world. You know, the lockdown on what you can say and what you can't say, political correctness kind of reining people in. It's amazing how bad it's gotten, you know.
And you notice there was no call to action required for words like prick or bastard or son of a bitch. The other gendered pejoratives you can think of that generally are used against men. Nobody wants to stop saying that.
That's kind of a tip-off, isn't it?
Well, and I am so grateful for this, Tom, because an actual Western male had in earnest submitted legislation that nobody could call him a bastard. or face a $200 fine, I would probably exit the men's movement. I would say we're a lost cause.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I am heartened somewhat that this was obviously a female
You would
constituent.
think so. Either that or a real blue pill male.
Well, and you may be right. I am assuming this was a woman.
Yeah.
I don't think it said in the story though.
Well, maybe the legislation itself has his or her name on there.
Maybe so. We
Yeah.
can maybe try to dig further and find out. I will try to find out. Now I must know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, at any rate, that's our number one story. State of Massachusetts undertakes legislation. A vote will be held on it about whether or not to make calling somebody a bitch a finable offense in the great state of Massachusetts.
I'm curious to hear if anybody agrees.
I tell you what, unless they're going to be issuing a lot of fine, I know a whole lot of bitches going to have to move out of Massachusetts. And that's my final word.
There you go. We'll stick with that. We're going to shift gears, Paul. We're ready for number 2?
We're ready for number 2.
We're going to shift gears a little bit into a more sexual realm. All right.
Ooh.
This one comes from Florida. Here's the headline. Florida couple busted for DUI had sex in back of cop car. You can't make this shit up. Here's ex-cons Aaron Thomas, 31, and Megan Mondanero, 35, were initially stopped by a deputy after they were spotted riding bikes with no lights and almost being hit by a car in Nassau County.
Okay.
When the deputy with the Nassau County Sheriff's Office pulled the pair over, he noticed that they reeked of booze and had bloodshot eyes. He pulled them over for riding bikes, by the way, so I don't know why they call this a DUI. It should be BUI, right? Biking under the influence.
Well, yeah, I don't know what the law is in Florida, whether or not it's an equal offense to be drunk on a bicycle. I do happen to know somebody in Washington, D.C. that got stopped for riding a bicycle drunk.
Really?
And hassled by the police and threatened with jail.
Wow.
So maybe it is an offense somewhere.
Wow.
I'm personally not terrified of drunks on bicycles.
It seems, well, they almost got hit by a car apparently, but it seems like they were upset enough to have the police come. And here's what it says. Thomas and Mondanero were placed in the back seat of a patrol car, and that's when things got hot and heavy. So the cops up.
That would be the first thing on my mind.
He's got to be wondering, what the hell's going on. He's outside writing up his report, right, and talking to this and doing that, and they're getting
and the patrol car starts rocking.
Oh God! While I was outside of my patrol vehicle, Megan and Aaron took their clothes off and started to have sex. The deputy wrote in an arrest report, according to the Herald. Authorities hit Thomas with an additional charge of theft because he took police handcuffs with him when he ran off, according to the news. Oh, God.
How did he not take police handcuffs if he was handcuffed? Oh, man. Well, they really charged him with theft?
Well, I forgot to tell you the other part. This is the worst part. When I opened up the door to stop them, Aaron was naked, the guy, and Megan had her pants down, the arrest report stated. Thomas managed to briefly flee. In other words, he let the guy go who was naked, escaping hold of the deputy who tried to remove him from the patrol car. But he did hold the one with the pants down, the naked woman with the pants down.
Well, hold it. I got to ask this.
Yeah.
How did the guy get naked with handcuffs on?
That's a good question. Maybe she helped him out. Maybe she wasn't cuffed.
Well, in this gynocentric...
Or unless they cuffed him after they took him out of the police car. But that's a really good question.
Yeah, because you usually don't put somebody in a police car without handcuffs on.
Man, it'd be hard to pull them pants off with your hands cuffed.
Yes.
They probably did not cuff her, and she yanked those pants right off.
Well, you'd get the pants off, but they said he was naked.
Yeah, so how are you going to pull that shirt off?
How are you going to pull that shirt off?
Something's missing from this report, Paul. Maybe the cop was in the back seat with them.
Maybe the cop was in the rear window taking pictures. Something.
Oh God! So that's why they hit him with the additional charge of theft, because he ran off with the handcuffs.
You know, I'm having a hard time understanding this. It'd be difficult for me to understand one person out of two getting the idea that this was the time, this is the moment I wanted to have sex
Yeah,
while we're in the back of the. But for both people at the same time, well, obviously they were lit.
and obviously they thought it was hilarious.
Yeah,
What's he gonna do to us? Come in and pull us apart?
and so now he's going to be prosecuted for stealing a pair of handcuffs when he ran away from the cops.
Yes, and of course fleeing. What do they call it? Fleeing arrest and theft.
Man, that cop should have just had a good laugh and uncuffed him and let him go.
Really?
Drunk on bicycles, or at least gotten him off the road. But what the hell? That's a stranger. And I've had a few rounds of strange sex, but not like that.
Not quite like that, Paul.
Nope.
Not
Afraid
quite
not.
like that. So that's the Florida sex story. What's number 3?
Oh boy, do we got a doozy here. They could just get worse.
They are getting worse.
As we go along, we got these lined up, I think, in the correct order. There is a museum. I will go ahead and pull this story up here because this is just to let you guys know, this is not from The Onion. As a matter of fact, it says so in the headline, and the headline reads, "Not The Onion. Swedish newspaper laments that there aren't enough female taxidermy animals in museums." Seriously. Well, how do you just say that any other way than to just say it? They are complaining that the taxidermied animals in museums disproportionately reflect the female population.
And Paul, if it had gone the other way, they would have complained about that too.
This is the first time that I've ever heard a feminist complaining that there weren't enough stuffed vaginas somewhere. Usually it's the opposite. And
yeah, it's also the first time you hear them complain about the females being killed less than the males.
Yes, well, and that is, yeah, that is a bit of irony that I suspect would never reach the feminist brain. Exactly. I just don't see it happening. But what they're saying is, okay, you've got lions, so they got more male lions. The male lions are the big ones with and let's face it, male
ones.
Animals in all the mammals of the world, that's the one people want to see, the big strong ones. They want to see the big killer lion with the huge mane. They want to see the bull elephant, with the big tusk, huge size. So what we're seeing is a bias in people who frequent museums. That's what sells more.
Yes.
Another one of those things. Sorry, feminists. I know that this is a terrible form of discrimination, that there aren't enough stuffed animals. One, you got to have a first world fucking movement to even think about it. You
And
really
Paul,
do.
Did they give percentages?
I don't think so. I don't think they we'll take a look at the story.
I thought I saw it.
Maybe there was.
I think they said 52% males and 48% females, except for birds. Birds were 60% male and 40% female.
Because birds are the bright colored ones are males.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, the study analyzed over 2.5 million critters in museums. Based on their findings, the newspaper determined that the disturbing lack of female animal representation could lead to researchers having the wrong picture about certain species.
Yeah, they think all elephants have tusks.
Yes.
All lions have manes.
And all cardinals are bright red colors.
Yeah, that's right. So
I'm sorry, but I mean, again, the reason this qualifies for you can't make this shit up is just what I said. You got to have a seriously first fucking world movement going on here. Like a movement to end hangnails. Uh, Really, really stupid first world shit to even afford to think about the sex representation of stuffed animals in museums. And the answer, of course, to that is obvious. In bird species, which is why it's 60-40 instead of 52-48, is because the male species of birds, because they have to attract mates, is brighter colors, larger plumes. That's the way it is. That's what's going to attract human visitors to want to see them.
Yes.
And that is a form of discrimination. So now all the museums of the world need to go out and kill a few thousand female animals, stuff them, stick them in there, call it a vagina exhibit. Put all the boring birds and small mammals into one big room and say, there you go, there's your gender equality.
Yep. It's crazy, eh? I think what it tells us the most is that so many problems have been solved that they have to go to something stupid shit like this. There are no problems left for them to complain about. They've run out of gas.
That's why you have same way you get man-spreading and mansplaining
exactly.
and all these other made-up bullshit things that women allegedly have to contend with as though there's some great oppressive force in women's lives. That if I make room for my balls when I sit on a bus, I'm stepping on a whole class of people.
Yep.
You can't make this shit up.
How
Feminists
dare you, Paul?
They're idiots. They're all idiots. Anybody ever tells you, oh no, some feminists aren't bullshit? They're all like that. They're all stupid. They really are. You have to be stupid to call yourself a feminist nowadays.
In this day and age.
Yes, you do. You have to be utterly stupid. Anyway, enough of that. But speaking of stuffed vaginas, we have another story.
Story number 4. And Paul, this is probably one of the craziest, you can't make this shit up, I've ever seen in my life. Here's the title. Woman says meth found inside her vagina is not hers.
Oh, a friend left it there.
Yeah. My boyfriend was playing around and I thought I felt something.
Well, it wasn't just, she only had a couple of grams of meth.
Oh,
tell them what else was stuck up her pussy.
God, Paul. A Louisiana woman allegedly caught with meth inside her vagina said she didn't know where the drugs came from. Oh, God, you can't make this shit up. The man told the West Monroe Police Department that while he was showering, the woman swiped his cash and left. Rowland allegedly confessed to police that she did take the man's money and left his apartment. And what we left out before that was that she stole $6,233.
And which that too was stuffed up her vagina.
And they found that in the old snatcheroo. And guess what, Paul? $6,200 bills. And the 33 was 5 1s and 10s. That's a lot of bills, man. Woo!
How the fuck did she get all that stuffed up her pussy?
Well, I think she figured it out. And that's not as a large dildo would certainly be bigger than that, you would think.
Well, but 6,200, that's
62 bills.
Yeah, that's a big wad. No pun intended.
That's what she told the police. She said, "Officer, I just thought it was a big wad."
There's something.
Oh, God. The document said a female correctional officer later searched Rowland and inside of Rowland's vagina discovered $6,233 along with a clear plastic bag of roughly 1 gram of meth, which Rowland denied was hers.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, Paul, the female correctional agent that checked her, was that someone who just identified as a woman that day? Or was that a biological female?
Oh, well, we could have a rape here.
That's right.
Depending on who it was. I'm sure it was a born-as woman going there. And So at some point, not to be too gross,
Oh,
but
God.
at some point during this search, there had to be a gram of meth, $6,200 in cash, and a whole hand of a state employee in there. Like, God damn, man. He should have paid her 6,200 to leave.
Oh, God. And we
But it
do know.
is. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories. It was my friends. I didn't know that was in there. I don't know anything about that, but I've never heard that said about something that was stuffed up your twat.
And that tells us something about the accountability of women. I mean, would a man he had something stuck up his butt, right? Would he ever say, I don't know how that got there? There's no way he could do that. No way any man would ever say that. But she felt okay about saying that she didn't know how it got there.
Yeah, he might say it, but he wouldn't say it with a straight face. He'd be laughing his ass off.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
The shadow knows.
All I know is I sat down naked and got up a little heavier
And richer.
and richer.
Oh, God. So here is the aftermath, Paul. I researched it a little bit. This happened, I think, in July. And since then, there have been other developments in this. So here's the last piece. Now, 2 months later, Roland has been sentenced to 4 months in the Ycmtsu Parish Correctional Center in northern Louisiana. In exchange for the reduced sentence and dismissal of the theft charge, she had pleaded guilty to possession of a controlled dangerous substance. So 4 months in prison.
4 months in prison.
How about that? You cannot make this shit up. Vaginal robbery.
Yeah, a twat thief.
A twat thief. Yes, well said, Paul.
My God. Why is it I feel like that discussing these 4 stories each time is something we don't just finish, we get through it.
I know.
It like feels like a weight on my shoulders.
Yes.
Reporting this much dumb.
And dirt.
Yes.
It's like, oh. And we both love it.
Sometimes, as was today, we have stories you need to put on gloves before you
Oh, God, you should have that's probably about right. Wear gloves before viewing.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, God, are we finished?
I think we are.
I think this one's finished. Oh, God. You can't make this shit up, Paul.
You can't make this shit up. And we will see you next time with 4 more equally disturbing, crazy stories that you just can't make up.
Indeed we will. Indeed we will. And as always, men are
Good.
Y'all take care. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.